on one of the platforms that I'm multi-streaming on right now to make sure that you can hear me, because I've had more than one occasion where I was muted, didn't know it, and dropped some knowledge bombs, and it didn't go anywhere because it was muted. All right, cool. I can hear me in that. So that means that you can hear me too. Great. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me bring up my notes so I can stay on track and all that good stuff. All right. So hello. Welcome so much. Thank you for joining me today. It's common in general purpose programming to work with something called data structures. Now, these structures basically allow developers to organize and work with several smaller components of that whole data structure or object. So indexing is what allows you to call a portion of that data and use it to whatever means you see fit. So hello and welcome to today's Prosperous Heart programming training. Please show some love by reacting to this video or tagging a friend you believe would benefit from hearing this today. And if you're looking to create a solid foundation of understanding for Python basics, doors are closing to the upcoming round of my Python bootcamp this Friday night. So first class is Saturday. All recordings will be available to you afterwards, and we are doing a lot of implementation because knowledge without implementation probably isn't going to stick very long, right? So the URL, it's not that one, but it'll pass by here, but it'll show up prosperousheart.com/Python-bootcamp to reserve your spot today. All right, so now you might be thinking, why is slicing important, especially since you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, right? So slicing is this, we'll call it a process, a method, right? Well, for lack of a better term right now, is that it's something that you can use to access certain parts of sequences. And what is a sequence? Think of it like um, a row of things that the program is reading in a sequence, right? It could be a string of characters. It could be, that kind of thing. So you could even modify or delete those portions, quite frankly. It's really up to you. Personally, I've used it several times in my own career. For example, when I worked at Cisco, I had the privilege of working on some of the internal automation systems that they would use to review insights for their product logs. Now, in many cases, not in many cases, but in many pieces of the code that I looked at, whether it was my own or someone else's, string slicing was used in order to pull data from these logs and then compare them with some known process that an engineer might go through manually, right? So in some instances, if it matched a certain text field, certain even like a process, like maybe it saw this line here and then this line here, well, that meant it, that meant this thing here, right? That could do that automatically and then alert engineers who own the case that, hey, this customer may be experiencing this bug, or they may be seeing this error message, and it's completely no big deal, right? That's what the power of automation can do uh, in any language, but specifically I'm speaking about Python. So that allowed those engineers to be proactive and empowered to be able to help the customers a little bit better. So that's just one instance of how slicing can be helpful. And for some, especially if you've never done programming before, it can be a little bit more difficult to wrap your head around how it actually works, what that might look like, right? Now, we all learn differently, but for the most part, we truly are all visual learners, especially if there's something that we can't see how it might look. I mean, there's this really, it's probably famous time where this experiment was done where two people were sat back to back, and they were told to explain a design to their partner, and their partner would draw it. And it was, I experienced it myself. It was very interesting. You could think that you were exactly like, draw here, halfway here, do this, blah, blah, and it not look at all like what you tried to tell them, right? So visual really helps. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Thank you. Awesome. So what are you seeing here? First of all, you're on a Miro board, and Miro boards are Amazing! Oh my gosh, I love Miro boards. They're wonderful. Thank you, MiniChat, for introducing me to this wonderful tool. So this is a tool that I will be teaching my students. This is going to be a bonus that I'm going to be giving my bootcamp students on how to use this, because this is wonderful. It's like a digital whiteboard, and you have so many ways with which to ideate and create and plan, and it's just lovely, and I love it. So you're looking at a Miro board and a command prompt, right? This was a command prompt. This is the Miro board. Miro board behind at the top is showing you the indexing and slicing. So we're going to start with the middle row, the orangey, yellow, gold, whatever you want to call it, row where it says hello world. Okay. Imagine this being a piece of data in your computer. It's taking up a slot of memory, and the slot of memory hosts a however many character string. That's because that's a string of characters, right, of text. That is that piece of memory that's we're looking at. Okay. So when you're looking at what's called indexing, you are finding where in that sequence something is. The top row, the green row, that's going to be your index. And I'm going to call it a forward index. This is not an official Pythonic term. This is just something to help you remember, right? This forward Pythonic index is saying at position 0 of this sequence, what is it? Well, it's going to be the character H. At position 6, what is this index? Or excuse me, at index 6, which is position 6, what would this return? It would return a capital W. So what's really cool about Python, and I'm sure it is also in other languages, is that you have the ability to do it backwards. So that's what the black row is for. If you go -1, -2, -3 as your index, then it's starting from the back and going the opposite direction. This gets really fancy when you're doing slicing, and I can show you that here in just a minute. So, all right, you can see, oh, I think that's, oh, that's not, oh, that's, wait, hold on. Let's do this. Let's get resituated. Okay. All right, so here is the interpreter, the command prompt. And so we're going to do some indexing. So at temp, first of all, this first line here, right above it, I have assigned the value of this string hello world to the, we'll call it label temp index, temp underscore IDX. Now, if I were to simply call this again, it would basically do an echo and say, oh, this is what that is there, and it'll just say hello world. Boom, there we go. All right, so if I wanted to get the index of, again, index 6, the value at index 6, it would be capital W. If I wanted to do it -6, it would be negative W, because that's just how the string worked. But what about, let's try to -7. Oops. Then we know it's space, right? So that's how that works. Now, slicing takes a whole section of it, okay? So if we were to do temp index from, let's say, 1 to 3. Well, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, that should be 3 characters, right? That's not how this works. What this says is I want to start at this index and go up to, but not include, this index, right? So if I were to do 1 to 4, then it would show ELL of that string. Now, something to keep in mind is that if I didn't have anything on the right side, let's say I started at 6, it would go to the complete end. So you'd see world. And if I did it the other direction, what do you think it would do? Do you think it would start at the first one or the 0th one? Which one do you think it would start at? And start at the beginning, because there's nothing there. That's just how it's written. Now, something else you can do is, again, you can try negative numbers just to see what it does. Nothing. So if we go to -1 and then we go to 6, well, it's going to go forward, right? So -1 to 0 is the end of the string. So it would be nothing. It's end. All right, well, let's try it this way then. Let's try -6, which goes to here. Try it to 7. What does that look like? W. Boom. All right, all right. What if I wanted to do -4? So -6 to -4. Huh? right? Well, what if I wanted to do, yeah, so just keep testing. You can see how cool this can be with all kinds of really nifty stuff when you just play around. So that is indexing and slicing. That's all I think I wanted to share on that specific piece. So let me check my notes really fast. Yep, so that's it. So as you can see, super simple, and it can come in handy in several ways. I'm sure if you are looking to program that you can potentially see what this might do for you. And if not, ask me. Maybe there's a project that you need to complete that I can tell you about that this might help you on. But bottom line, this is something that I have tried to explain to every student that I've ever had. Bottom line is that there is no one right way to code. There's just not. You could tell somebody to do this one simple task and have it turn out three different ways. It's amazing. And the only right way to code is to make sure that it makes sense, that you're not using unnecessary processes and stuff, but that just comes with time and testing and practice. Okay. So that's it. Now, before you have to, sorry, little excited about Saturday. So if you are looking to have your learning curve shortened, I am, as you've seen through here, and as I've mentioned before, I have my boot camp coming up. But if you're not ready for boot camp yet, you can simply follow me, subscribe, wherever it is that you're seeing me from, and check out more about this, because I truly believe that there is change happens with one person. And there's a lot going on in the world that you can make a difference in if you knew how to program, because technology is all about software. Its hardware would not do anything without software, and vice versa, right? But without the software, the brains behind things, we wouldn't have technology that we do. Ervis, ERVIS, was a is an invention by I think the kid was like 11 years old at the time, that will clean plastic from the tops of our oceans. That was a mixture of hardware and software. And so I believe that if we can have more people learning how to program that find it fun and fascinating and want to make a difference, that we can really do that together. So if you want to find out more about that, let me know. And as I said, my bootcamp is coming up. I I am passionate about empowering others for success, and I love to break down tech into easy to understand bite-sized pieces. So again, just head on over to that prosperousheart.com/python-bootcamp if you'd like your seat. And that's it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful and prosperous rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one. Happy coding.